Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
Welcome to A Coffee with Karen. So this is my weekly show, a cup of positivity with just a sprinkling of woo-woo. So each week the topics are discussed with my guests, either from a mental, a physical, or a spiritual perspective. So my next guest probably falls into a couple of those brackets, but I'll let her explain more. So Hana, welcome to the show. If you could share with the listeners just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and share your story.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Karen. Lovely to be here on this show. Actually, this might be quite a lot of woo-woo today.
Good. I love it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about spirituality because I have spent most of my 20 years working in public relations and communications. That's my background. So that's kind of the corporate side of stuff, but it's not what I'm doing now. And I am actually an intuitive soul mentor. I'm a psychic reader. So this is something I've developed by working with people for many, many years. And I just love what I'm doing now because since lockdown, things have drastically changed for me. I always wanted to jump out of the corporate hoop, if you want, because it was, I worked for government departments and central government, local government, charities and individuals like artists. And I loved it. Well, I love getting the buzz of getting them onto the news and doing all that stuff. But I found that I changed also between those 20 years of working in corporate comms. I was becoming more spiritual, more aware. I was always kind of psychic anyway. I was literally born that way. I could literally predict stuff happening. And so I got some really great training with some great people when I was a bit younger. And I think that's helped me to do readings for people. I started off doing readings for friends and family. And they were like, oh my God, you're bloody good. And so it kind of started like that. The business started like that. And now we're, running it, becoming more into intuitive soul mentoring as well. And that is more not just doing psychic readings, but it's also helping people to see where they're stuck in their lives, whether it's finances or relationships or any other area, and helping them to come out of that zone by using a variety of tools like meditation, prayer, and lots of different little bits. And they go away with this sort of goodie bag that helps them build on their mental spiritual well-being, really.
Brilliant. I mean, do you think that, you just mentioned there about, the difference, I think, with lockdown. Obviously, a lot of people have had more time on the hands to maybe look within a little bit more. And I suppose the reason my show, it just says just a sprinkling of woo-woo, because for some, they now have had for the last few years, we've really been pushing mental health and the idea that there is a connection between the mind and the body. So I think in general, the public have now accepted that fact. However, we know there's a little bit more to it. And actually the spiritual, it's a combination. Whereas for some people, they might think, oh, that's a little bit way out there. It's a bit woo-woo. But have you found that a lot of people are starting to move over and really sort of look at the more spiritual side of things because they've had time, right?
Yeah, so I think lockdown, as I explained to you before we started the show and previously, that lockdown helped me to actually get my spirituality really out there with people. And I started a Facebook community page called Elevate Your Inner Self. And that is all about things like where I go on and I do live meditation and live readings now and then, also get live guests who are spiritual to come on. And I've had quite a good response with that, to talk about anything from near-death experience. I had a fantastic guy called David Ditchfield who fell under a train at Huntingdon Station. And now he's written a book called Shine On. And he came to talk about his experiences. And that got such a great reception from many of the people on the page. And I think people are actually more open to spirituality than most people think. The sort of people who come to me, as people I read, they can be anything from business women or businessmen to I've had an author, I've had people who are, you know, just normal people, nurses, doctors. I've had loads of people coming for readings. And I think lockdown, what that's done to a lot of people is it's made us reflect on our souls. Maybe a lot of people were so busy before with their 9-to-5 jobs, or, you know, with their children or whatever it is, that they were, you know, super busy going on the train, the commute, with all that's been cut in half now. Apart from obviously, if you've got kids at home, obviously my sister's got that, and that's a whole new ball game. So I don't envy her with that. But I think a lot of people have had time to reflect, and it's made some people seriously depressed because maybe they never did it before. Maybe there were issues before that are now suddenly magnified 20 times more because they're alone. You know, the social isolation isn't helping a lot of people at all. That, I think that's been terrible for a lot of people. And I've had calls from a lot of people who are in a really bad way with that. They're remembering past relationships, you know, things that they shouldn't be remembering, they should be over. It's all sort of coming to the surface. It's like this huge collective debris coming up. And I think it has affected people in quite bad ways, apart from the fact that I don't agree with the lockdown anyway. It's my personal view. But, I think it's made it worse health-wise and everything for a lot of people.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, and I think mentally it's caused many problems. And I mean, I was even talking to a friend of mine in Thailand, and he was saying that, you know, that's largely dependent on the tourist industry. And he was talking about the Bangkok taxi drivers committing suicide because they just don't have a means to pay for their vehicle anymore. And they're just, you know, the tourist industry is down the pan, and they're killing themselves in droves. And it's depressing when you actually look at what's really happening out there. You turn away from the mainstream news and you actually do your own research. There's a hell of a lot of stuff happening that isn't being told out there to a lot of people. And of course it is affecting their mental health, and of course it's affecting their spiritual well-being as well. I definitely
absolutely. However, I mean, from that, like what you said, I mean, I see that myself too, and in my own, you know, mental well-being. I felt very emotional at times, very up and down throughout. So although people have been suffering maybe with sort of depression and all these things, do you think that actually there might be quite a positive outcome from that, because it might be things that they can go inward and actually start to heal? So although it doesn't seem like it right now, maybe, but in the future they might actually benefit from that if they go through the journey and do it properly.
Yeah, I do think so, but it does depend on the person as well. I mean, it depends on whether they've had issues before, whether they've been, you know, really challenged or felt really lonely during this time. And I know a couple of people have. Now, most of my clients, I don't really, you know, they'll book me for a reading and I'll talk to them, or they'll book me for a one-to-one session, I'll talk to them. But the only person I really do talk to, and I'm sure she won't mind me mentioning her, I'm not going to mention her name, but she's one of my clients, and she's in a wheelchair. Bless her. And she's got a lot of things wrong with her in terms of physical ailments. I mean, she's partially blind, she's got MS, she's got spinal problems, brain injury. And I mean, you know, I was actually really nervous about talking to her in the beginning, and she contacted me. She joined my group because I was on the Virtual Village Hall Facebook group, and I was doing live meditations on there. And then I thought, I'm going to stop that and just focus on my group. And she joined from there, and now she's had lots of mental health problems, and it's really helped her. It's really boosted her to go into these live meditations. I mean, she's forever calling me. She's the only person I don't mind calling me at 10 o'clock at night, because I'll have a quick word with her, or I'll text her and say, sorry, I'm too tired, I'll talk to you tomorrow, because she needed it. And, you know, and she's got the support of her family and carers, but that sometimes you can't say what you want to say to people closest to you. You need to have another outlet. And I would advise anybody who's having serious mental health issues, if you're very seriously depressed, you must in the first instance talk to your GP or talk to a mental health charity. And also I would definitely advise looking out for support groups that do meditation, and getting that spiritual support, because spirituality is one of those woo-woo words, but and you know, people tend to get it confused with dogmatic religion, but it isn't dogmatic religion. It's very different. It's actually a self-awareness, and it's growing in yourself with that self-awareness. And it can make you, I mean, often you'll find people have been bullied or have had a really traumatic experience like I did when I was younger, with growing up with my stepdad and stuff, you'll find that those people tend to be more spiritually aware often. Somehow that trauma drives you into a slightly different direction.
Yes.
You know.
Well, we see that quite a lot. It's quite interesting. So even I was having a discussion on a sort of more business aspect, so more of the physical, and the same thing has come up. It's almost a slightly unfortunate way of the way we are. You know, we are human, but it's almost like when we're backed into a corner, that's when we start to get creative from a business point of view. And then from the spiritual aspect, again, sometimes when we're really sort of gone through the traumatic things, for somehow that sparks maybe some kind of, I don't know, escapism, or more of a willing to search for answers and to help them to go within. Because what you said earlier about, under normal circumstances, we're so distracted with the mind, you know, things, to-do lists, what we've got to do, well, we've got to get to work, we've got to get back from work, what we're going to have for lunch, what we're going to do. We're so busy up here in our head that I suppose what this lockdown has brought, well, that's all gone. You've got nothing to do. So there is that downtime. So that makes sense that things are going to start coming to the surface. And if they're maybe on the negative side, you could struggle. And that is when, so important to reach out. Because for some of those, actually, meditation initially might not be the right thing, because that actually might trigger some actually more traumatic things. So it's about getting them into that safe place. And like you said, it's more of an awareness. The way I see spirituality is really just getting to know yourself. Getting to know yourself, getting to know what's out there, getting to develop your faith. Often we have a faith in a higher energy, you know, whether it's your higher self or whether it's the divine stroke God stroke the universe. Some people don't want to say God. I just say God, you know, I just say God is God. That's it. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. We're all talking about the same thing. It is what it is. And I have been really blessed with some of the most amazing teachers who taught me about God, but also taught me about compassion. And there'd be times, you know, when I was younger, I'm ashamed to say it now, but there were times when they'd say, oh, well, you know, think about this person, they haven't even got enough money to buy shoes to wear on their feet. And I'd be like, oh, why is that my problem? And now it's like, oh my God, that was so arrogant. I get that now, you know. And I think what lockdown has done is it has brought a lot of people closer together in some ways. I mean, it's had the opposite effect of social isolation in some ways, because people have realized the importance of community, the importance of who they are and their family members, maybe somebody they didn't talk to for a long time. But on the other hand, there's also some people you just want a social distance from. So I would say that it's had a kind of a weird effect on different people. I think some good, some bad. But I myself and others I know are really concerned about the mental health issues that are out there that are much worse now, and the number of suicides that have really catapulted up, not just in Thailand, like I was saying, but also in the UK. I've got friends everywhere. Everywhere. And that's sad. That's sad, because I don't believe that those souls would have wanted to go if we didn't have this pandemic. So they've gone prematurely as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely. No, I'm of the same mind there. Now, do you obviously there's been a lot of talk. I mean, I know nothing about this, you know, the astrology side of things, but you know, we all know that we're moving into the age of Aquarius. So do you think that has got something to do with people's heightened awareness of spirituality? Yeah, I do. I think we're in the ascension times, what people call the ascension times, inverted commas, whether you're going to call that the end days, whatever you want to call it. And I'm talking loosely on the biblical side, like, you know, the book of Revelation, but I'm also talking about the age of Aquarius and what that actually is. Aquarius is very much about innovation. It's very much about moving forward. It's kind of a quirky, eccentric kind of age, kind of the hippies and that movement. They were around during that time in the 60s, right? So it's kind of new things developing, new things opening up.
but also an awareness that's very deep. Now, people can choose to say, oh yeah, it doesn't exist, it's too woo-woo. You can do that. You can close the door and you can carry on in what they call the matrix. You can just carry on, or you can actually say, okay, well, hang on a minute, this is something new. If you're a critical thinker like I am, like many people are, they're going to sit back and they're going to think, okay, well, I'm not satisfied anymore with just watching Netflix, or I'm not just satisfied anymore with my routine. It's, you know, this is forcing me to think a bit deeply about where I'm going with my life and with my family or my children. What do we want for their future? And it is how it's sort of forcing you to grow in a way. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I just think it can be very uncomfortable. And
absolutely,
you know, you're out of your comfort zone, you know.
Well, that's it. We are, and that is, I think, that is the thing. People, in general, we can be conditioned to resist change, but it's happening. Change happens whether we like it or not. So we need to buckle up, right?
Adapt to that change. That's right.
We have to. What are the options? And so, yeah, can you share with us a little bit more about how you sort of came into this, well, I wouldn't say line of work, but how were you sort of introduced into this sort of side of things?
Into spiritual side of things? Well, I've always been that way, but I guess what really woke me up was I was very much into corporate PR, and I loved it. I loved the money. I still like a bit of it, right? I'll be honest. But it's not my main forte. I've always wanted to help people. And the thing with PR is you're very zipped from saying the truth. You can't say the truth because you've got to represent that organization or that person in a particular way that makes them look good, but it might be hiding some of the things that they're doing that maybe not so good. So, you know, that isn't meant to sound all cloak and dagger. I'm just saying that, of course, they're going to be putting on their best show for the media, for people to see, but it doesn't hide the fact that there are questions that are unanswered. And I think I've always been someone who's been a truth seeker. I've always gone to Speaker's Corner. I used to go there like 7 years in a row. Apart from when I was on holiday, to listen to all the so-called crazy people. But they were not crazy. I mean, it was all about ideas and sharing ideas and different religions. There's someone talking about, oh, Jesus is coming back next week, or there's a Muslim guy on a pedestal. So I only used to go and listen to one or two really good people, and then I'd go back. But it helped me develop my ideas. And I also studied literature and philosophy when I was at university. So that really helps you expand your ideas. But I guess the crunch of it came when I was working with an artist called Alan Osborne. I was helping him do his PR work, and he was an older artist, 63 years old, very dapper. I got him onto BBC London News for his first exhibition. He absolutely loved it, but the sad thing is he was a recovered alcoholic, so he started drinking again after the success of that, unfortunately. And then we had a second exhibition about India called Made in India at the Nehru Centre in Mayfair. And it was great. They loved him so much they decided to give him a grant to go to India for 3 months to travel. We had the Hindustani Times interested in interviewing him. I mean, it was great. It was brilliant. However, what happened was I just started a new government job in Westminster, and I used to talk to him before I went to the job, like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd give him a ring and say, hey, how's it going? What's our plan for today? And I'd pick up on it after work, you know. And I called him this day, and his mum answered, because he was in his 60s, but he used to live with his parents in East Ham. And he picked up, he didn't pick up the phone, his mum did. And she said, oh, he's not very well. He's sort of being incoherent. I don't know what's wrong with him. And I thought, oh, maybe he's just got, a touch of flu or something. I mean, and I left it. I said I'd ring at lunchtime. And when I phoned back at lunchtime, his dad answered, and his dad said, how's Alan? Is he okay? And his dad answered and said, no, he's passed away. And that shock of that, I mean, honestly, luckily I wasn't in the press office. I was actually in the corridor, but I rang my senior press officer. I was like, I need to get out of here. I'm feeling really sick. And it really impacted me, because we'd become really good friends. And he was a Christian. I even went to his AA meetings with him. And that loss, that triggered off something in me. That was like, I was depressed for weeks after that loss. And I was like, my God, life is so short. I've got to do something. I've got, we were about to go to India. It was like my dream just went down the pan. My dream of working for an independent person who I loved working with. I loved his artwork. It was so beautiful. And so So I was gutted. I was so gutted that I literally just drove myself into depression for a few months. And I'd go to work like a robot. I remember going on the train and I just, getting into Westminster on the District line, just feeling really down at work. I mean, and I was just really down about it, really depressed. And I was like,
grief.
And it also brings to the surface, what do I really believe? Why is there such a cruel God? Is there a God out there who really cares? And in time, I've realized it isn't about that. It's not about God. It's about choices we make. We create our own paths as well. And that was his soul journey. That was his journey. And I've accepted it. And I guess if I'm honest, I was a bit selfish about it too, because I was thinking to myself, oh my God, you've just died and left me and I'm back in the bloody corporate world. I'm never going to escape. But
how dare you?
How dare you? But since I've been doing my spiritual work, he doesn't come to me now. For the first few days when he died, all I could smell was alcohol around me. And I was like, Jesus, I do not want to smell that, dude. But then I think back to that and I think, well, if I hadn't smelled that, I wouldn't have known that he was there. So I know that he was sort of like coming to say goodbye, and he left. But that woke me up to my spirituality, Karen. And that really woke me up, because I've been training before, but it was all like, okay, I'm training, I'm working, I'm training, I'm working. But then it was like
experience.
Yeah, it was like
a different thing.
He's gone. Now you've got to decide what you're going to do. So I started doing all these meditation workshops. I started writing the meditation workshops from scratch. So basically it was teaching people about meditation, guided meditation. I'd take them to the Amazon jungle to really ground themselves, or to the beach. And I realized I was really good at it. And the meditation circles, everybody wanted to come. So we sometimes I do them in my flat if it was a small number. And sometimes I'd hold these classes outside at higher spaces and get people to come. And they loved it. It was like a PowerPoint presentation, and then we'd do a really beautiful guided meditation. People would feedback about what they saw, how they felt. And I realized it was helping people. So that's what I started to do. I started to do my psychic readings, or the training I'd had, and people loved it. And I realized that a psychic reading, because I've been on a couple of these psychic sites, I'm not going to name which ones, but I've been on a couple, and they're great. They really do help some people. But for me, I found that we weren't allowed to say certain things. Like, you're not allowed to tell anybody if they have dark energy around them, which I can pick up. And you're not allowed to tell them if you can't answer any health issues. But if I see something serious, I will say it. And, and I got zipped from that. So I thought, okay, first of all, this isn't me. I need to be honest. I need to be honest to myself, because it's like their guides, or the energy of the divine comes to you when you're giving them the reading. And you've got to be real with these people. You can't let them spend their money and you're talking crap. So I decided that I needed to do it on my own. And so it's been a bit of that and a bit of like PR work, and then building that. That's basically the stage where I'm at. And then, as I said, lockdown helped me to create my Facebook page community, which is Elevate Your Inner Self. And I love it. I'm on there practically every day. I post a bit of content, or go on there, do the live meditations and the healings, and get people to come on. Whenever there's a reading, whenever I'm doing readings, everybody will come on. Sometimes you'll have not so many people on the meditations, but the regulars will come on because they love it. So yeah.
There is so much. I mean, let's start with meditation, because I do feel that that is just an easy baby step for people to come in, to help them connect, to align with their own source, whether they believe that it is or not. They're going to do it, right?
Yeah. You don't have to believe it. You just
because it is what it is, whether we believe it or not, right? So they're going to get so many. Well, first of all, they're going to be health benefits physically throughout the body, through regular, consistent meditation, but also they are going to feel, whether they believe it or not, the more and more they become in alignment with source, they're gonna have that aha moment at some point, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So when you help people with the meditation, so if you do it in a group, or do you do one-to-one? Because some people, it might be, I don't know, doing it in a forest might actually trigger something, or to somebody else on a beach they might have had a near drowning experience that might not be right for them. So how would you guide them through one-to-one initially, or do they come on the group to get started?
Well, on the group, it's always on a group. On the actual page, Elevate Your Inner Self, it's always in a group setting. But before I start, I usually do get people to relax and get them to keep their spine straight, because unless they've got a health problem and they need to be sitting comfortably, it's very important to have a straight spine so the energy can go up and down your what's known as your chakra energy systems quite well. And the chakras, I'll explain that in a minute, is basically wheels of energy. And you have 7 main chakras, although I think there's 114 in total. And most people are in one way stuck on one of their chakra energy systems. A chakra just means wheel in Sanskrit. And it's sort of like an invisible wheel of energy that we have around our bodies, but they affect a lot of things internally as well. So often when I take people through meditation, and I try and keep it basic, but obviously I do know a little bit more advanced stuff, it's all about the breathing, actually. And with the breath, when you slow down your breath and you go inwards, you actually do suspend your thinking. Often it just dissolves, and you become much more rooted in your inner world. You're just much more rooted in who you are. You're very present. And that's why when I do my meditations, if someone's had a traumatic experience on the beach or in a forest, I've never had anyone feedback to me on that, actually, but maybe they have.
I'm just plucking.
Yeah, we're just throwing it out there. If they have, maybe that's a good point, and maybe I could ask that in the beginning, but I usually put a form of protection around them. They don't always know that I'm doing that, but that is what I do. I'll ask them to visualize like a golden ball of energy above the head, about as big as a football. So it's above what's known as your crown chakra, which is the 1,000-petaled flower. It's called the 1,000-petaled flower here. And so I'll usually bring that down and imagine, and they get them to imagine bringing it right into their third eye, the mind's eye, and then into the throat energy center, then into the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root. So a lot of the issues a lot of people are having at the moment, which is why I've tried to keep it all about grounding and being present at the moment during lockdown, is because people have been having huge problems, obviously, with the root energy center, which is like the foundation of a house. And if your foundation isn't solid, it's going to affect everything above it. So that's all about money. It's all very practical, actually. Money, finances, security, family, all of that stuff is rooted in the root energy center. And if people are having issues there, and that can sometimes that can become physical as well, like you're having issues with the hips or the organs in that area, or lower colon, that sort of stuff. That is everything to do with the root energy center. And a lot of people have been having that and feeling that during COVID, because obviously they've been furloughed or they've lost their jobs, there's money issues, there's health issues, everything.
A lot of fear.
Yeah. It's all shaken everybody's root chakra. So when I go out and I post something, it's normally about reminding people how to ground, how to, even if you're touching a tree in nature's vital, actually. If you're touching a tree in nature, you literally can. You don't worry about looking silly. I do all the time. You can literally just shove that negative energy into the tree, because trees are great at changing that, transforming that energy into a more powerful grounding energy, and you'll feel much better after a couple of minutes of even doing that. You really will. So it's just that I think nature is so underrated. We can still all go out and about, even if it's a bit cold. I mean, today's a beautiful day here, but it has been cold. And you can still, even if you go for a quick walk in the park, it actually rejuvenates your brain and your mind. It helps you think clearer. Just 10 minutes of walking gets rid of depression. 10 minutes of walking. And then obviously if you're walking like 20 minutes, you come back, you're going to be in a different state, much clearer in your mind.
Absolutely. I mean, that is such an important tip, I think. But again, because most people have been so used to running the rat race, they don't have time for this. They don't have time for this. They don't have time to go and have a walk. And instead they drive to a gym and go hell for the leather on a treadmill or doing a class. And actually, just like you said, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be like that. You're going to benefit in so many ways, from a mental, a physical and a spiritual perspective, just getting out in nature. I mean, that is huge. So tell me a little bit more. Let's go a little bit deeper into the woo-woo. something I just picked up on that you just sort of glossed over there about dark energies that can be attached to some people. If you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, so a lot of people who come to me do have dark energies on them, and but this tends, when I say dark energy, let me just be clear about what that is first of all. Okay, there's two base. Our thoughts are very powerful. First of all, most people would agree that our thoughts are very powerful, and that if you ever read The Secret or any of those sort of books, you will realize that what you think you literally attract into your life. Okay, but when I talk about dark energy, there's different layers to it, actually, Karen, because there's dark energies that someone can send to you by just being very jealous of you, or literally thinking hateful things against you. And I've had this. I've had this one woman who, I'm not going to say her name, but she was sending me the most terrible, hateful thoughts, and I could pick up on it. I literally, because I'm quite sensitive to energy anyway, I could literally feel that something was like stabbing me, or like it literally felt like she was sending me stabbing thoughts, and I could see her face will suddenly pop up in my mind's eye when I'm praying. And I will come to prayer because we've got to talk about that. But one thing I'd say is that dark energy certainly exists. A lot of people know that. Now, I prepared a booklet, a guide to how to overcome negative energies, 5 simple ways. And me and a marketing guy, we marketed that on Facebook. We done a sponsored ad for that, and it got so many shares. I think it got about 50 or over 50 shares, and he said that was the most he'd seen within a matter of a couple of months. It was just rapidly, because everybody wanted to know more about how to clear negative energy. So I think when we talk about negative energy, most people do know or have an idea of what that is, because
intuitively,
yeah,
right?
they know someone doesn't like them, or they know that someone's giving them the daggers, or you've heard, how many times have you heard that? Or it's kind of like when you walk into a room and 2 people have just been having an argument, and you walk in and the argument stops just before you go in, but you can feel that tension in the room. You know the SHIT's hit the fan, because something's wrong in there, and it's an awkward silence, and everyone's trying to talk as if everyone's polite, but really something's just happened in there. And that energy exchange, that's very real. You don't have to see it to feel it. It is real, and sometimes dark energies can be just someone sending you negative thoughts, negative energies consistently. Maybe they're jealous about your finances, or your house, or your boyfriend, or whatever it is, your cat, your dog. It's illogical, but sometimes people are illogical. I'm going to be honest, and they're not in charge of their emotions as they should be. And for that, you can do some very simple things. Prayer is very important. I'll come to that. If you pray, you don't have to be religious to pray. You can just pray, or you can have a salt bath with Himalayan salt, or with Dead Sea salt. So Dead Sea salt is more for what I would call evil eye, and that's in a lot of cultures as well, where people have, the Turkish people, they have the evil eye glass thing hanging above their door to protect from that. So that is literally what I'm talking about. People giving you, that is the evil eye, that energetic exchange of negativity.
Right.
And it can trip you up. If you're not spiritually aware of, you're not protecting yourself, you can suddenly be in a bad mood one day. And you're like, why the hell am I in a bad mood? When I've woken up, I was fine. And now suddenly it's all dipped. And this isn't my thoughts. It might even come to you that it isn't you thinking that. It's like an extra layer of energy coming to you. Right. So it's very important to do regular cleansing, and things like salt baths are really good. Prayer, meditation is good for those that can go to that level. I would highly recommend that. And sometimes when you meditate quite deeply, you might be able to even see the face of the person who's sending you these bad vibes all the time. So, or you can pray and you can do that. The other good thing is if people are more advanced with their spirituality, or they're getting there, they can call on their guides and their angels, because many of us do have guides. I'm not sure everybody has angels. I work with Archangel Michael, and he's amazing to cut off all negative energies. But definitely have the salt baths. That's very good at actually clearing a lot of that negative stuff. Salt is just really, really good at cleansing. And I think
totally. It's isn't it interesting that something so simple and abundant and costs nothing. So you're talking from a spiritual aspect. It is the clearing. I know from the physical aspect Oh my goodness. And we were told that it was bad for us. Go figure. Right?
Yeah, I know. We're told lots of things that aren't quite correct, but
it's an essential electrolyte, and you're right, it cleanses. And even funnily enough, with the lungs, it's an antihistamine. It will break down mucus. It makes sense that it's going to clear for spiritual things, because what did we do prior to fridge freezers or anything? People, kept you salt, because salt is nasty stuff.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm glad you said that thing about the lungs, because I didn't know that, and that's quite important now with the whole COVID thing as well. So there you go, guys. Totally. Have a salt. Get the salt going. We've got piles of it in our bathroom. So the salt baths are really, people think, oh, it's just a relaxing salt bath, and yes, it is a relaxing salt bath, but it also has many other benefits, not just physical, but also spiritually. It does clear what's known as your aura. It does clear your energy centers. And if you're having a Himalayan salt bath, guys, there's another tip is just to put a little bit of that water on your face and just run it on your hair. I mean, I don't soak. You're supposed to immerse yourself totally, but I don't, because my hair's it takes ages to sort out. So I just put it on my hair, and it's like I'm done, and I'm out the bath, and I just feel so much clearer. And another thing you can do is, if you feel that someone is particularly sending you bad vibes, then all you have to do is you can just cleanse your body, and you can just say, name that person, say the person's name, and just say you're cutting all energetic cords with that person now. I'm telling you, if you did that and you walk out the bath, you will feel 100 times better. It honestly works. It's really, really good.
Fantastic tip. Thank you. So what about what other things can people do, how would they know? How would they know, first of all, if they do have sort of dark energy around them? What would be the sort of signs?
That's a really good question. There are many signs, but sometimes we don't see them because we think it's just having a continuous headache for a month, or we might think that, oh, we haven't been able to get a job for 4 years, and I'm just, I've got self-confidence issues. But if you've done all that work on yourself, and if you are confident, and if you know that it isn't just the market, something's not quite right. Like I said, you have to rely quite a bit on your intuition as well. Now, when there's another part of the dark energy that I wanted to talk about, and that's actually psychic attack. Well, I'll come to that in a minute. But that is when some people who are my clients have come to me, they've been having nightmares, they've been having night sweats, they've been having symptoms like they're just feeling like there's somebody watching them there and no one's there. Oh, and this is people who don't have mental health issues. They are perfectly normal people. If you have mental health issues, I mean, you may still have dark energy, but it's important to eliminate the mental health part first. So what I would say is, if you're feeling that something isn't quite right, and you just feel like, normally it could be even like a heaviness, or like you feel blocked. I had a lawyer come to me last week, and I was talking to him over Zoom, and he was saying to me that for many, many years, he's felt really, really blocked. And he says, I don't understand it. I feel really, really depressed. And it's like, whenever I get a client, I should be happy, but I feel really down. He said, I just can't get away from that. I feel like my mental health is going down the pan. I said to him, look, I feel like someone blocked you with your business, because he used to have his own firm many, many years ago. And I actually feel like it's a result of witchcraft or something like that. I said, it's like, I said, I'd like to check that out with some people I work with. And he gave me permission to do that. And we checked it out, and it was witchcraft. And what the person had done is, because this stuff unfortunately exists as well, what the person had done was put a massive spell on him. So the spell had matured. So it was about 9 years ago. So it got to the point where he totally hit a wall. Nothing seemed to work out for him. He even started to invest in property. None of that was working out. And this is a very intelligent guy. He didn't believe me when I said, I think it's witchcraft. But because he was my client, I wanted to check it out. He gave me permission to do that. And it turned out that it was. And thankfully now he's getting the right treatment, because you can get people who can remove those energies. But they're very, very deep people, and they're very few and far between that can genuinely.
Wow.
But you can do simple tips for yourself. You can definitely pray that is an immediate wall up. And I mean, you don't even have to be religious to pray. I say the Lord's Prayer 3 times in a row sometimes if I feel negative energy, and it does definitely block it. You can say it in the Himalayan salt bath if you're having one. You can say your own prayer, like, you know, like many of my clients are Hindu, for example, they can say the Ganesh mantra or whatever. That's very protective, actually. Whatever it is that works for you, whatever your faith is, if you say it with intention and you're really saying it from your heart, it's going to go out there and it will have an impact. And
there you go. And one word I pick up on there, and that is intention. Because you know, this is where, you know, I do feel sometimes that for certain religious people, when they do pray or you know, say grace, it's just something that they do, right? It's just like a habit. Yeah. So there's no real feeling behind it. I mean, I know with my own clients, I do get them to just start the day with a gratitude list. But it's not about reading a list, is it? It's about the intention and about finding that feeling place.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a energy, isn't it? So if you're just, you know, the universe or source or whatever you want to think about is not really listening to your words. It's listening to the intent.
Yeah.
Behind the words and the actual vibration, right?
That's right. It's the vibration. And if you're naturally a person who has a very strong vibration, or, you know, it is all about that. It's all about your energetic field and what you're sending out there, what you're transmitting out there. So I very much agree with that, with The Secret, where they're saying it's like a radio signal going out to the universe, and the universe is reflecting back what you're sending out. Very true. So if you're definitely crying for help and you're really stuck and you're like, please help me, I really, really need to be sorted because of my children, or whatever it is, that's going to be heard. That is going to be heard, and someone will come to you to help you, and then it's up to you to connect the dots. And that's another important thing, Karen, that people often don't think that it is about connecting the dots. Like the universe might send you someone and it's right under your nose. You're like, no, that isn't the right person. I'll dismiss that. And you could be going on like that for years, but the answer's right underneath your nose. So you need to be aware. That's what to keep developing spirituality. You will know when the right people are sent to you to help you. And, you know,
and you've got to be open, right?
Yes.
So there is an awareness, but actually be open to actually notice when someone is coming, or you know, you've seen, you know, your eyes go towards a book that you need to read, or information you need to have, or whatever. But it makes so much sense that if we're not in that vibration and we're focusing on what we haven't got, and we're down here in a lower vibration looking at the floor, look up, because otherwise you're going to miss the universe. Hello, I'm here.
You know, that person could be someone, you know, it could be your postman bringing you a message of hope every day, and you're just not seeing it. You're just blind to it because you're just so much in your own emotional drama or whatever it is. So what I would say to you then, if anybody's in that state where they're maybe asking for help and they feel like it's not coming to them, try to see what it is inside you that might be causing the block. You know, if you're feeling overwhelmed, get the help that you need. If you're feeling as if, you know, you need to do something more, but you don't know quite what it is, you're feeling confused, get the help that you need. Get a therapist, get somebody who's a good supportive friend. You know, if you can't afford a therapist, find a way. There's some really good websites out there as well that you can look out for spiritual people. I mean, there's a lot you can do for yourself. Just, you know, even go for a walk in nature or journal. Journaling is brilliant because it helps you to get out what's in your head onto the paper. And then you can actually make sense of it. Instead of it going round and around and around in your head, you've got it on the paper. And that's a great way to kind of look at the point and think, okay, I'll dismiss that. That's actually not relevant. That's relevant. And this is where I'm going to start today. Just take it one baby step at a time. You know,
that's a really good point there, and sort of moving on even from that with the journaling again, I think that helps everybody. So again, like you just said, if everything's whirling around in your head, just like pre-COVID, everyone's busy, we're distracted. We're distracting ourselves, or, you know, our ego, or, you know, the thing that we think is in control of our lives, right? So another good point about, getting it down on paper. Again, that frees all that chitter chatter.
Yeah.
Which might then help you calm clear the mind, and that's when the answers will come to you. They can't come up if you're all up here in chitter-chatter land, right?
If you're all up there and you're in the cage of your own mind, and you're not going to escape from that, and you need to escape from that, my tips would be definitely walk in nature, journaling, and breathing. And breathing and breath work is so important. And you can do that when you're even walking. You can just, all it is a few minutes of being aware, a few deep breaths, hold for 3, breathe in, hold for 3 or 4, hold that breath, release for 4, or breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and release slowly for 8. I mean, even if you put your phone on timer for 2 minutes while you do that, you will instantly feel as if you're more present, as if you're more grounded, and as if suddenly all that chitter chatter has just stopped. And that's what you need to do. That's the very first step, That's the first step. And don't forget, Karen, the other point I wanted to make is that negative energy can actually make you confused. So if anybody is there and they're thinking, oh, but it's not me, I feel like a block, and this is like something really negative on me, then you should definitely contact a spiritual healer or advisor, someone who might be able to help you. And I can help you with that. There's other people that can help. But it's really important to find the right people to do that, because that's a specialist form of work as well. It's almost like a form of exorcism. We give you the help you need, and sometimes we can get attacked as spiritual people because we're trying to help other people. So I'm forever praying in the morning and the evening and during the day, and and even if people are praying or meditating in the morning and the day, these energetic attacks can hit you anytime during the day or the night. So it's very important to protect yourself at night as well.
Wow. So it doesn't have to take up too much time, even with meditation. How long are your meditations, your group meditations?
My group meditations are normally anything from 15 to 20 minutes. They're not that long. They have sometimes gone on for half an hour, but really in the flow. I'll just continue, and I'll be guided by the angels, and I can almost visualize with the people I'm talking to. So then I get really into it, and then I know people leave their comments and say thank you, that's brilliant, or whatever, and you just think, okay, that's great. And it's helped people, and that's the ultimate aim, is to help other people to evolve. We are in those days of evolving. We definitely have opportunities to evolve. And I would say to everybody, try not to see lockdown as a huge failure, although in some ways it you might disagree with me on that, Karen, but try. I mean, it hasn't helped a lot of people, but try and see it from the positives. What's come about now? Even one thing that might have suddenly helped you. Like, you suddenly might find that you used to do a hobby like painting or writing many years ago, and you put it on the shelf because your life was too busy, and now suddenly that's come back again. So
absolutely. And that is definitely my hope for, like we said right at the beginning, I think for some people, hopefully, is that, once we sort of get over the feeling down about it, it's given up people an opportunity to think about the things that they are more passionate. And even if, even if they have lost their jobs, or even if they are still furloughed, they might actually be really unhappy in that job, and they're only doing that for a means to an end, to actually pay the mortgage and pay the bills. So by having this downtime could actually help them come up with what their purpose is, what they really want to do, and give them the time to actually set something up. So yes, there is a lot of negative, there obviously, we know, and we're seeing this with some people, and, some people unfortunately aren't feeling like that there is any way through, and they're not reaching out. But there is, you're right, there is so much help out there. Thank goodness we are in the days where there is so much, free information. There's no lack of information or people out there that you can connect, but it's having that belief that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and yes, to reach out. You don't have to be going through this on your own. So I personally do think there's a lot of positive that is coming out of this, especially now we can see the sort of the pathway through.
Let's hope Boris and his government do follow through with that. But I honestly felt that there was such a big energy shift yesterday when they announced it. I was like, phew, like this, it's just actually felt like
Yes.
something lifted off, you know.
And you're right. And I do think I've seen that with a lot of people that I know. And I do feel that it's the, it's interesting that we can get so confused and disorientated with the unknown. But again, that's all linked to our own ego now, because it's all the unknown.
Yeah.
We don't know. We do not know what is around the next corner. But because we're so normally up here in chitter chatter land, thinking we're in control of everything, if we have that route out of lockdown, it gives us that feeling of relief, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Because because there is nothing's actually changed, nothing.
No.
However, it's a huge plus for a lot of people, because they are having those feelings of, like, you just did it. That breathe, thank goodness, even though it's not what maybe a lot of us want, it's something. It's that light at the end of the tunnel. There is a future. We can.
Yeah, I mean, we never knew if this was going to go on for 5 or 6 years. I mean, no one really knows. We thought maybe another 3 years or maybe another end of this year. You know, that's way too long. And I'm really glad personally that, you know, a lot of people are feeling better for it. But let's see what actually happens. And remember to keep our faith, whether it's even in ourselves or in the higher energies. Remember to do that, and remember to keep on cleansing your energy. It's so vital.
Absolutely. And well, you just said it there again. It's really, what's more important is how we feel.
Yes.
So if we have got those feelings of relief, remember that feeling. Remember that feeling of relief, because it is something that we actually can create for ourselves.
Yeah.
Even though we're giving our power away to how and why, I don't know. We're giving our power away to the man with the silly hair.
Somebody made a comment yesterday that he should get a comb or something. I just thought that was hilarious. Like, get a comb though, Joe. And I was like, really? You know?
So we don't need to give our power away. The thing is, the fact of the matter is, the power is actually within us.
Yes, thank you for saying that, Karen. 100%. I will back that 100, 200%. The power is within us, guys. And that's what we are not born to be suffering here. And everyone's coming with a gift. And you may be off your path, or you may feel as if you're being blocked or you're blocking yourself. It's really important to work through those issues, and it can be done. You can do it. Don't give up. And, you know, it's really important to remember that. But there's low moments, and I've had plenty of low moments in lockdown. I mean, the first lockdown, my teeth just all went funny. It's like my teeth locked down. And the second lockdown, when they announced the second one, it happened again. My teeth locked down. I was like, what's going on with that? And so I've now booked in to see the dentist next week. But it was kind of a physical reaction to what's happening out there. And I think that happened to a lot of people. Somehow that filters through energetically, psychologically. Of course. And it's like, whoa, you know, this is our rights are being taken away. This is happening, that is happening. So it's really important to remember to be present. You can do that, like we said, journaling, meditation, breathing, walk in nature. It's really important to know what is your energy, what isn't your energy, because it's kind of like brushing your teeth, Karen. If you stop brushing your teeth, you're going to, I shouldn't be using this example maybe, but if you stop brushing your teeth, you're going to get plaque. And if you get plaque, it's going to get worse. Your teeth are going to deteriorate, and you're going to have to go to the dentist at some point, right? So it's the same with energy. If you're not clearing your energy, by whatever means, and for you, if you're not even into spirituality, but you've got an inkling, it really might just mean going for a walk for half an hour a day, right?
Yes.
That is spiritual enough. That is self-awareness enough of, you know what you need. And that's what this is about. That's what the journey is about, essentially. Ultimately, if you want to take it higher, you want to find out about your guides or your angels or whatever, you can contact me. I can help you do that. Or you can just, take it at your own pace. And there's no rush. There's no competition,
Yeah, that's a really important point, I think, is I think everybody intuitively knows. So just starting with your first tip of just, even if you aren't really into the woo-woo side of things, just by going for a walk in nature, It doesn't have to be for hours on end. A 10-minute, like you just said as well, another tip, that just even 2 minutes, you've got everything on your phone. You've got access to everything. Just set the time. 2 minutes. I guarantee you will feel better just by focusing on the breath. It's always the simple things that work. We overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like the queen of that. I'm just, we overcomplicate things. It's the simple things that we can do consistently are going to have a knock-on effect, right? It's going to have a build-up. And then for others, then you could go into more depth. Mind you, who wouldn't enjoy having a nice chilled out bath? I'll have to say I use Epsom salts. Would that have the same effect?
For if you're suspecting negative energy, it's better to use Himalayan salt.
Himalayan sea salt is really the best thing.
Yeah.
You're going to feel better anyway. It's going to help.
You're going to feel better, and people are just like, oh, I'm too busy to have a salt bath. Especially men, they're just like, oh well, salt bath. Well, that's a bit like candles and all that flowers floating around. But it isn't like that. It's just a cleansing process. It's the same as cleansing your, cleaning your teeth. If you energetically, we should do stuff regularly to clear our aura, our energetic field, because we all have an energetic field. I think it's about 6 foot around us, all the way around that sort of space.
And I think people are coming on, it's funny, isn't it? Because we use our physical senses to decipher whether that's fact or not.
Yeah.
I think even the ones that are not into this way of thinking, just you know on some level that just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
And, what I do know is we do now have Chilean photography. So you can actually photograph the energy leaving your body. Absolutely. I think people are, that these things must resonate at some level because we do now know they're true. Even the meridian lines. I know from therapy, before they didn't, because, if they cut a leg in half, where the meridian lines, but, they were so used to, if they can't see it, then it's not there. However, the West they have a machine that can pick up on the energy flow. So they do know they exist. They just might not have a full understanding of it, but there are machines now that can pick it up. So we know it's true, whether you want to believe it or not. If you need the science and to see the hard facts to know that it is there, it is there. So then it's up to us how far into it we want to go. Right?
You want to go. I mean, it's like you don't see love. Love can be action. Like my partner goes out and he does my shopping for me sometimes or whatever. That's action. That's love, right? But but it's more of a feeling. Electricity. You don't see it except when it sparks. But when you see
that's right.
But it travels, doesn't it? It's energy. It travels.
Absolutely, and you don't have to know have the understanding of how it works. You just
you feel it. It's
and
all about the feeling. It's all about the heart, and that's you were talking about the Age of Aquarius. That is very much that we're going into Pisces season now, so that is all about the heart. It's about emotions. It's about duality, the fish going in the different directions, and bringing those together. So the physical and the spiritual, bringing them together. And I think that's people will take whatever they want to take from this talk, and hopefully a lot of people take a lot of good things and understand it. But I think spirituality, if you're not, my partner was he's an Aries. It's completely head focused. Everything's always in the head.
I'm an Aries.
But I love Aries. I always get on with them. And I'm a Saggy on the cusp of Capricorn, but I always get on with Aries. And so it's all about the head. And for him, it was like, but he was one of the first founders of the Reiki Federation in the UK. But at the same time, he's an IT guy. That's what he loves. It's all very practical, very something I would never understand. He's really good at. So I think you start off where you start off. I mean, it's like one of my teachers told me many, many years ago, you have people from all walks of life, and they're like different ingredients in a cake, in a delicious cake. And that's exactly what life is.
There you go. Fantastic. So once again, if people listening, they want to reach out to you, what is the best way?
So the best way is you can contact me via my website, which is www.inspiringmypath.com. Or you can go to my Facebook page, Elevate Your Inner Self, and you can ask to join. I think there's 3 very simple questions about, do you meditate? Are you open for a reading? You can just quickly answer them and come on. It'd be great to have more people on there. And then you can contact me via Messenger, or either that way, or you can email me, which is Hana, Hana, @inspiringmypath.com. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today, Hana.
Thank you, Karen.
I really hope everybody got a lot from that, because we covered quite a lot of areas there. So really thank you for your time. And to the listeners, I will be back on Thursday with a keto coffee with Karen. So yeah, less of the woo-woo. We're going to get a little bit more onto the health and wellness side, which spirituality does have a part of this, but we're going to keep it more practical. So thank you for listening, and otherwise until next week. Bye.
Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.